Today we're talking about some of my favorite cool weather vegetables to grow. Let's go. Hey friends, it's Kendall, your joyful farmer. Today I'm sharing with you some of my very favorite cool weather veggies to grow, my favorite seed varieties, as well as some new ones that I'm excited to try this year. If you're new to fall gardening, I do have a video that walks you through everything you need to know to grow a fall garden, and I'll link that in the video description below this video. This year in my fall and winter garden, I am planting a lot of my favorites, as well as some varieties that are new to me. This year we're going to overwinter as much food as we possibly can in the high tunnel. But here in North Texas, we've been trending kind of cold, so the past few winters, we've had at least one instance where the temperatures have been as low as the single digits Fahrenheit or as low as -15 degrees Celsius. That's really cold for us. So my hope for the fall and winter is to harvest as much food as I can, as quickly as possible, and then also replace plants as soon as we harvest the food from them. So I'm really excited to test out those shorter day varieties, and I'll share those with you today. So first up is beets. Beets are a really great cold tolerant veggie to grow. For varieties of beets, I do like the early wonder beet. It's kind of a standard red beet that does have a shorter days to harvest window than a lot of the others. I also really love the golden Detroit beet, or any kind of golden beet for that matter. The yellow flesh of those roots is just really sweet and really mild. They have less of that geosmin, that chemical that smells like earth, in them. So they're a little bit milder, really sweet, really delicious. People who don't typically like beets, you can kind of convince them to try the golden beets. I also like the Kyogia beet. They are these pink and white striped beets that are kind of magical because when you cook them, the red disappears and they become all white. They, like the golden beets, are really mild, flavored, and just really fun to grow. So that's one that I tend to have in my garden pretty often. For beets, I tend to direct sow them, so I'll sow them in little clusters of 3 or 4 seeds, and then as they grow, they'll push each other out of the way, and I'll harvest the larger ones first, and then later I'll get the smaller beets as they grow and get a little bit bigger. Next is broccoli. One of my favorite varieties of broccoli to grow is called the early purple sprouting broccoli. It's one that can actually overwinter in a lot of zones. So zones 7B or warmer tend to be able to grow this one throughout the entire winter because it's so cold hardy. It's also a great variety because you don't have to harvest just one head of broccoli with it and be done. You actually can harvest bits of broccoli here and there from it, and it will continue to produce for you in the spring. One broccoli that I'm going to try this year that I've heard is really great for us here in the southern US is called Green Magic. It's one that's more heat tolerant. So in theory, you are able to plant the Green Magic broccoli out earlier in the fall than you would with other types of broccolis that tend to bolt more quickly. And then also in the spring, when you transplant out the Green Magic, it's supposed to last a little bit longer into the warmer spring that we tend to have here in the South. Next is Brussels sprouts. I tend to struggle with Brussels sprouts, especially because they tend to have longer windows that you have to grow them in order to get the plants to mature and produce the little Brussels sprout heads. So what I'm trying this year are 2 varieties that are supposed to be shorter days to harvest. One is called Red Bull and the other is called Jade Cross. So the Red Bull I liked because of the color. It looks like it is going to be a really fun one to grow, and it's supposed to be 90 days to maturity. And then same with the Jade Cross. The Jade Cross is more a standard green, but it's a 90-day variety as well. So I'm gonna plant those out in the high tunnel and hopefully maybe even have some Brussels sprouts during the winter. Next is cabbage. I love cabbage. Cabbage tends to be one that's shorter to grow. So one that I really like to grow is called the Early Jersey Wakefield. It's an open pollinated variety, which means you can save the seeds from them and you can expect to get the same plants as the mother plant. And it's only 60 days to harvest. So that's pretty short for a cabbage, pretty good. A new one I'm trying is called Red Acre Cabbage. It's one that's 65 days to harvest. I've always wanted to find a red or purple cabbage that grows well for us. So I'm still trying to find just the right one, and I'm gonna give the Red Acre a try this year. I also found a couple of hybrid cabbages that I'm really excited about growing. One is called Katarina, and that's actually 45 days to maturity. The heads on that one are supposed to be about 4 inches, so a little bit smaller cabbage heads, but I'm excited about that one because 45 days is not a long amount of time. Hopefully I can get a couple of rounds of them in the high tunnel through the winter. And something to keep in mind when you're growing through the fall and through the winter is that because the days, the daylight hours get shorter as we approach the winter solstice in December, it takes a lot of vegetables longer to mature. So a lot of these probably won't take the exact number of days. So a lot of these varieties are going to take me an extra 2 or 3 weeks probably, maybe even more, to see them mature, but that's okay. I also found a hybrid cabbage that is called China Star. That's one that's more of an Asian style cabbage that's supposed to be really good in salads, stir fry, or to make kimchi with. That one's 75 days to maturity, and I'm excited for that one as well. Next up is carrots. I do have some favorite varieties to grow of carrots. I really love to direct sow carrots in late September, early October, and I'll actually overwinter them. They will oftentimes just survive our winters without coverage. Sometimes the foliage might die back and that's okay, but the carrots will be in the ground producing in the spring, and that's awesome. So the ones that I'm going to be growing this year are the Purple Sun carrot. I love that one. It's super pretty to look at. It's really sweet. It's got a great flavor. Then there's the Danvers carrot. That's a very standard variety, but a lot of standard varieties are standard because they're so uniform and they do such a good job producing. So that one I think will work well for us again this year. And last year I didn't grow this next one, but I'm excited to grow it again. It's one of my very favorites, and that's the Black Nebula carrot. I have to grow it again because it's so much fun. The novelty of it, the color is worth it, but it also is high in anthocyanins because it's got such a dark color. It's really nutritious and it's just fun. So we'll grow that one again. Next is cauliflower. I'm gonna grow 2 different varieties of cauliflower this year. They are both hybrids and they both have a shorter days to harvest. So there's one called the Graffiti hybrid, and it is 80 days to harvest, but it is a purple color. It's supposed to be really, really beautiful. And so I really am excited about the color on that one. I'm always looking for more fun colored veggies to grow. They're fun for the kids, they're fun for me, they're just a win-win. There's also the Minuteman hybrid. That one is 70 days to harvest, and I'm hoping that that one will do well. Both of these being hybrid varieties, I'm hoping will be successful for us this year. Collard greens, I don't really have a favorite collard green. They all seem kind of the same to me. The Georgia Southern Collard is one that I think is good. Next is herbs. There are some cold tolerant herbs that you can grow. Dill, parsley, and cilantro are some of those. I don't have favorite varieties of them, but don't forget your dill, cilantro, and parsley. Next is kale. I loved the Black Magic kale that I grew this year. It's a lacinato kale or a dino kale, and the leaves were really nice and flat and uniform on it. It was just a really nice kale, so that's one that I'll definitely grow more of into the fall. And kale will overwinter for us, so I'll have it through the winter. The other kale that I'll grow this year is the scarlet kale. It's really one of my favorites because of the color. I love purple vegetables, if you can't tell. Scarlet kale is one that's really been worth it for me to grow. Some of those odd colored vegetables tend to have lower germination rates, but to me, it's worth it. It's just so fun to have purple kale in your garden. Come on. Next is kohlrabi. If you've never grown kohlrabi, it's really crunchy and delicious. It's almost like a brassica that is an apple. Now, it's not sweet like an apple, but it's great. You can peel it, slice it up, and use it in a slaw, or roast it, pan fry it. It's really crunchy as an addition to salads. Just really, really great. And the 2 kind of standard kohlrabis that I've grown that I really enjoyed are the white Vienna and the purple Vienna. Again, another purple vegetable, go figure. Next is leeks. Now, I am a Texan girl who happens to love leeks. So the two leeks that I'll grow this year are the American flag leek and the Caranton leek, but those have both done really well for me in the past, and I'll grow those again this year. For lettuce, I'm really excited this year to be able to overwinter a lot of lettuce in the high tunnel, and I've got several varieties that we're gonna grow. One of my favorites is the black-seeded Simpson. It's more of a cut and come again style lettuce. It's got really frilly leaves, really great in salad. And it provides a ton of food from just a single plant. So that one's a really great one to grow if you want to just continue to get lettuce from it over the winter or the fall. It's easy to grow, it's really versatile, and it's not bitter, so that's great. One that's more of a romaine style lettuce that I like to grow, that I have tons of seed from, that I'm sure I'll grow, is called the Paris Cos lettuce variety. It's really good, crunchy, produces a head of lettuce like romaine, or you can pick it when the leaves are small and just have baby greens from it as well. A lettuce that's new to me this year that I am super excited about is called the Super Red Romaine, and it is from M.I. Gardener. It is really, really red. The color is just so bright on it, and the plants will actually produce heads if you leave them long enough, apparently, but the leaves are just the deepest shade of red, and I'll show you in a photo so you can see. But it's supposed to be amazing in salads, on sandwiches, or in wraps, it says, and adds a pop of color to anything. And of course, there are antioxidants in it as well, because, you know, the color means that there's nutrition in there, right? The cool thing about this one, and another reason I'm really excited about this one, is that it's supposed to be cold tolerant and also heat tolerant. So when we're growing lettuce here in the South, especially in early spring, our spring tends to heat up really, really quickly, and our lettuce goes bitter and bolts, goes to seed and flowers. It's really pretty gross. So I really want a variety that's gonna get me through a little bit further into the spring and still have some delicious lettuce. And the last variety is another new one to me that I'm really, really excited about. I love bib style lettuce that's more of that butter head, and it's just so pretty, but also really, really tender and delicious. This one that I'm trying is from Haas. It's called Harmony Butterhead, and I think it's gonna work out really well. So it's supposed to be a good one. Next is onions. I do grow a lot of onions. I am going to actually try direct seeding some onions this year. I will probably sow them in about October, November, and here in the high tunnel, so that they'll grow through the winter and then be ready to bulb up in the spring. Both of these varieties that I have are short day varieties. So if you are new to onion growing, it is helpful to choose a day length variety that's going to be appropriate for your zone. So you can do a web search to search for what type of onions grow best in my area, or should I grow long day onions or short day onions or intermediate ones, and you'll find out pretty quickly what's going to work best in your area. There are two different ways I like to grow onions. I will direct sow onions, and I will get like a big shallow tray, and I will put a few inches of soil in it, and I will just sprinkle a whole packet of onion seeds in that tray, and then let those onions develop into starts. So rather than purchasing starts in the early spring to plant out, I will start those in the fall, and I'll have onions that will be ready to plant in early spring. The two onions that I always come back to are the Texas 1015Y Super Sweet. Those are a sweeter yellow onion. And then the Red Maiden, that's the red onion that I typically choose. Those are both short day varieties. They work well where we live, and they're easy to grow. Next is radishes. I do love radishes because really you can sow a radish seed in the ground, and 21 to 25 days later, you can get a radish from that and harvest it. I'm not trying any new radishes this year. The ones that I'll grow are the French breakfast, black Spanish. That one's cool because it's got a black outer layer to it. And then the wasabi radish is fun. It does taste kind of like horseradish. It's good. Radishes are really great roasted like potatoes. So you can throw them in a pan, throw some butter or olive oil, avocado oil, salt, pepper, and the roasting will actually take out that spiciness of the radish, completely change the flavor, and make them really delicious. if you've never tried them that way. Next is Rutabaga. So the two types of Rutabaga I'm going to grow this year are the Laurentian Rutabaga, which is a pretty standard variety of Rutabaga. It's got the purple outside with the white inside. They're a root veggie, so it's good to direct sow them, or you can treat them kind of like beets and multi-sow them in cells and transplant the cells out as well if you want to get a head start on them. And then the other kind is Navone Yellow. It is supposed to be a yellow, flesh, more sweet rutabaga. I tried growing them a couple of years ago and had something go wrong with them. So I really want to try them again and test out the flavor and see if it's even more delicious than the other rutabaga. Okay, spinach. So for spinach, there is one that I'm going to try this year that is called the Winter Giant spinach. It's an heirloom spinach, and it's supposed to be one of the coldest, hardy varieties out there. And in the description, it says it is prized by market growers for its longevity and season extension, grown both in spring and fall for nearly 2 to 3 weeks longer production from traditional spinach varieties. So we do love spinach. I'll give that one a try this year. I do like the Bloomsdale long-standing spinach for spring growing, just because that one takes longer to bolt. It'll kind of tolerate our heat longer, but I'm still looking for a spinach that does well through the winter. So I'm hoping this one will do just that. The other thing that I absolutely fell in love with growing this past spring that I'll definitely grow through the winter is purple orac. Orac is super cold hardy. It's not actually a spinach, but it kind of fits the bill of spinach. It is the most beautiful purple color. It's really rich in antioxidants, and I'm definitely going to grow it this year with it being so super cold hardy. So with purple orac, I'm growing it. Yes, we'll add it to salads and things like that, but I'm really going to intentionally grow it for my chickens because I really want to be able to offer them some nutrient-dense greens in the winter, and this will be perfect for that. The purple orac was really easy to just direct sow, and it was super easy to grow and very, very prolific. So I'm hopeful that it will, even with just a few plants, be a really nice treat for the chickens to get them a little extra nutrition over the winter. I just got a couple more. So Swiss chard. I feel like Swiss chard is so hardy. It will grow in the super cold. It will grow in the heat. It just is a workhorse of a plant, but it's really hard for me to get people in my house to eat it. But if you're looking for a Swiss chard that is really fun to grow, super easy, but is the 5-color silver beet. That one I've grown in the past, and it's just colorful and a little bit more fun than your standard green Swiss chard. And last but not least is turnips. So I love turnip greens, and I really do like turnips. The variety that my mom found this year that I'm really excited to try is the white egg turnip. They just look so clean and spherical and perfect, just like a little white egg. So I'm excited for those. I think they should be good for a turnip. We'll try them. Oh, I just realized I forgot snap peas. So I don't grow a whole lot of shelling peas or English peas here in North Texas, but we do grow snap peas. And the ones that I really like are the what are just called sugar snap peas. Those have always had great germination for me, and the flavor's really great on them. And then there is one called the sugar magnolia snap pea or the spring blush snap pea. Either of those are really fun because the blooms are pink. And then you have, of course, the fun colors in the vegetables as well. And I'll direct sow some snap peas out here in the high tunnel, and hopefully we'll get some to grow through the winter. If not, we'll start some early spring in here as well. So I think that's it for my list of cool hardy vegetables. Are there some that you love and you would love to share with me and other viewers? If so, please put them in the comments below. I would love to hear what you're going to grow for the fall and winter this year. And thanks for watching. I wish you joy on your journey, and I'll see you next time.